book, you actually give a great example of Michelle, who's
Yes.
someone who is, she's actually trying to make, she's in a stable corporate job. Wait, to start off, with, she actually was in startups before. She ends up
Yes.
finding herself in a stable kind of corporate job. And then she gets a phone call from these friends that she used to
Hmm.
work in the startup saying, come join us in a different state. Please join us.
Yes.
And so she has to make a really, so this is not the person jumping off cliffs, but someone or a
Oh,
nurse or just as like a regular person making a tough decision. So tell us a little bit about, and she talked you through her decision process and
she did.
how that actually mapped to what the brain does.
So she, straight out of college, started working for a startup company that got very successful very quickly.
Hmm.
But when she started with this company, it was very small. She helped grow it from the ground up. She met some amazing people, learned a lot. But she went to college in the same areas where she grew up, where her family is, where a lot of her friends are. She has a lot of history in that area. That initial startup she worked for ended up being bought by a very large company.
Hmm.
And, she rose in the ranks and was doing very well. And the way that she said it was like she didn't love her job, but she didn't hate her job. She
Hmm.
knew what she was doing. But most of the people that she had sort of started in that startup had gone off. They had gone and done other adventures, and she sort of had stayed with the ship.
Right.
Um, Out of the blue, somebody that she had worked for in that initial company called her, said, "Hey, we're starting something new, and we are starting something new in Austin. We want you to be a part of it.
Right.
You've gotten some initial funding. We're getting this off the ground. We want you."
Right.
And, she started thinking about it. And again, those motivation centers, this is the first job out of college. They worked so hard. They had so much fun. They built something really cool and unique from the ground up. I mean, and there's a
Hmm.
lot of self-esteem. There's a lot of validation in that,
Right.
and now she's sort of middle management in a corporation, not as much, more
Right.
TPS reports, less self-esteem.
Right, right. So there's a lot of memories, there's a lot of
Hmm.
emotions, a lot of
So there's
positive
a lot,
experiences
yeah.
that
So
kind of went
she,
into that.
all of a sudden it's like it's something new, it's something cool, it's
Right,
something she's really interested in doing. And so, yeah, her basal ganglia are going nuts. They're
right,
saying this would be awesome.
right,
This would be great,
right,
you know. But okay, I told you she's from that area where she's working right now. If she went to Austin, she'd have to leave her friends, her family. She'd have to start anew.
hmm,
That's their frontal lobe saying, are you really at a point in your life right now where you want to leave all this security behind? Because she has a great salary, she has a lot of vacation time, and she puts a lot of stock in her vacation time.
right,
She has something like, I think she told me she had like 7.5 weeks. I want 7.5 weeks of
right.
vacation. I want her job.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
and she wouldn't have any of that with a
Oh,
startup.
yeah.
So those are things to consider, and moving away from her family and friends and starting again. But then it's also what she knows about startups,
Hmm.
and this is not just, her own experience, because her experience with a startup, it did really well and what have you. But, most new businesses fail within a year. They have
Hmm.
initial funding, but is that any guarantee of more funding?
Right,
Would, this company even be around for a year? And then what happens if she moves to Austin and it all falls apart? What does she
right,
do then?
right.
So basically, somebody was asking about indecision. This is where this kind of is all going around, and this is a very
Mm,
conscious kind of, outline of it. But she's got, those motivational centers of her brain saying, "This is an awesome opportunity. Would be a great gig. It would be so much fun to do."
right,
She has, her frontal lobe saying, "But wait, that would take you away from friends and family. It would take away your vacation time. You
right,
know, you're kind of even on the money, but who knows if that money would even be there next year."
right,
And these two areas are really duking it out to help her make a decision.
right,
Ultimately, and I have to say, I understand it was the vacation time and being away from her family
right.
that really made the decision. And she actually decided to stay. And I talk in the book and I say this may seem like a decision about not how to not take a risk. But she outlined very succinct. She's like, it's a risk to stay and it's a risk to leave. And
Right.
I think that's really important because so often we talk about decisions as if they're one sided,
Hmm.
that it's a risk to do this. No, even making no decision is a risk.
Right.
It's something that can change this, the situation, your opportunities, what's going to happen next. So I think very often when we're talking about things, whether it is extreme sports, whether it is neurosurgery, whatever, it's a risk to go one way and it's a risk to go the other as well.
Right. It almost to me in that particular example, she had certain values, right? For like in that particular algorithm that you're talking about, she had, okay, I have the potential upsides, which
Right.
is, more money and working with friends and the excitement of startup, with the potential downsides of, leaving family, leaving what's familiar. And for her, her values were about friendships, family, and connection more than adventure and excitement. So for me, if it were me in that same exact scenario, because I value adventure so much and the new and exciting, I would have taken that job in a heartbeat, even if it meant, because that's my values. And it's not even saying, it's not, there's no judgment at all. It's just that we
Hmm.
actually have different algorithms based on probably my genetics, based on
Genetics
my
and
life
experience.
experience,
Yeah.
and those kind of things. So you can have two completely different people making completely different decisions based on their own algorithms, which are based on their own life
Mm.
experiences. Because I listened to that, I'm like, what? She didn't take the startup job? Was she crazy?
Well,
But then I was like, well, no, because she's valuing something else that has something. Her risk calculator is valuing different things than my risk calculator.
right. And I think that's important. But the other thing is that what her risk calculator may value could change. If this opportunity had come 5 years ago, she may have run for it.
Right.
If even 5 years later from now, it may be that as she moves up in management and is doing less of what she loves and more paperwork, she'd jump at the chance. So,
Mm-hmm.
a new boyfriend, a breakup, finding out that she could get a house in Austin, 3 times the size of the one that she has where she is now, stuff like that could all factor in different ways. And
Yeah.
and so this isn't static.
Right.
These kind of calculations, what may be an optimal decision for you right now based on your values right now could change.
Yeah, it's timing
And
was huge. Yeah, that's
we're
a really
always
good point.
changing.
Yeah, because
So,
and you mentioned this in the book too. So, and I had a situation where right when I had a newborn baby, and I got a call from a TV station, Discovery Channel, said we would love you to do a coaching show where you'd be like, coaching people through all this stuff. Would you love to do it? And I was like, yeah. Yeah, okay. And I put together this lame video because there was a part of me, I'm like, not right now. Like, I have a new
yeah.
baby. I cannot do this. But if you would ask me now, I'd be like, yeah, I'm up for it. Let's go. But
Hmm.
it's one of those things that timing and your life circumstances, and for women, it may be children and family, those are actually external factors that calculate into your risk calculator
Right.
that may be different over time. I love that. I hadn't thought about that, but I do think that the time factor is really huge. Okay. It means so much to me that you're listening to the show and love your support in any way by giving me comments below or to subscribe to the show or share the show with friends. Thank you again for your support. Love and blessings.